Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the LOCUS Golden Hour podcast. My name is Kristina, and I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm Lina.
So, this podcast is about sharing stories, advice, tips, and all things surrounding university and student life. Today, we have a special guest with us to chat about procrastination. Kiara, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kiara. I'm in second year BBA, and I'm the OCA of Community 20.
Cool.
Yay!
So, we like to start off with a little bit of an icebreaker when we have guests on. So, Kiara, is there something on your mind right now? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your head? What are you thinking about at the moment?
In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm thinking a lot about turkey and stuffing and just all the good Thanksgiving foods. I mean, I just had an entire Thanksgiving meal. It was amazing. And I'm about to do another one tomorrow. Can't wait. Doubling up. Really excited.
That's amazing. I have a follow-up question for you. What is your favorite part or like your favorite food from like a Thanksgiving meal? And Kristina, you can answer this after as well.
Easily stuffing. I love stuffing so much. I have like 3 boxes of stovetop stuffing in my like cabinet at university too. Just like ready to go. I love stuffing year round. It's so good. Something about it. I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never had stuffing before.
That's the best part. What do you
I
mean you've never had stuffing?
I've never had turkey on Thanksgiving either.
What do you eat?
Like takeout Chinese food.
That's fair.
It's
That's
usually
fair.
You know
what
what?
we
That's
eat.
solid.
Yeah.
I can live with that. Okay. Yeah.
So like I don't know the classic Thanksgiving foods like stuffing. Like what is stuffing like? It's bread, right? Is that what
Like
it
it's
is?
bread but good. Like
Oh,
better.
okay.
I really like carbs.
I like
Yeah.
carbs too. Who doesn't
I
like
think
carbs?
Mhm.
I think stuffing's pretty good, but for me, I would say like corn. I just like corn. Like
Yeah,
I will
I'm
eat
not a
like
fan of
so many
corn.
No way.
I for some reason it like bothers me that like vegetables are sweet, like when they're sweet. So I'm like, why? Why is it so sweet? I don't get it.
Do you
This
prefer
sounds
it on the cob or?
I just don't like corn.
Corn is like one of my favorite vegetables, so I'm very offended right now. And
My bad.
clearly, I mean, it sounds weird, but I think vegetables are my favorite part of a Thanksgiving meal. Like
Nothing
all the
wrong with that if
vegetables,
you choose the right vegetable.
like the beans, the potatoes. I just like the vegetables, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I always go
All
for
right.
carbs and meat. That's what I
Yeah.
eat like every single meal.
Yeah, I go straight for the carbs.
Hmm.
That's fair. That's very fair. So, just to introduce our first topic for today, our topic is about procrastination. So, we'll talk about, some of the triggers of procrastination, what it is, and hopefully you'll be able to learn some of our tips as well of how we deal with procrastination. I think every student, every person on this planet has probably dealt with procrastination, and it's something that's pretty natural, although obviously it's not the best thing in the world. um it's definitely something that you'll face, definitely as a student. So just to introduce it, Kristina, do you want to tell us a little bit about like what is procrastination, maybe like a bare bones definition?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know what it is because I used to do it a lot, especially in high school. Procrastination is basically like postponing something that you're supposed to do or delaying it to do it last minute, like an assignment or something. You put it off. Okay, according to Merriam-Webster, it's procrastination is to put off intentionally or habitually. So putting things to last minute, which I used to do a lot in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. And I think, there's a bunch of different triggers, I would say, for every different person. So, you know, do you guys happen to know, is there like maybe something specific that you realize maybe over the past few years, whether it's in high school or even like in your first year, that like, oh, when this happens, usually I tend to procrastinate?
For me, I tend to procrastinate assignments when I'm not entirely sure what the assignment is about. So I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure what I have to do, so I'll just put it off until last minute because I could just easily read what the assignment is about and get it out of the way, but I don't. So
Mm-hmm.
recently, what I've been trying to do is when an assignment is assigned, I read through what I have to do and I brainstorm a little bit, so that at least gives me peace of mind until I actually decide to do it, you know?
For
Yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
used to procrastinate studying for exams, which sounds really bad, but like you're supposed to, start studying quite early. And I always be like, oh, I can start studying next week, or I can start studying like next week, because you still have stuff going on leading up to the exam. And then eventually it's like the next week, and you're like, oh, I have so much material to like go over, and I have so many courses to review, and I just like push it off to the last moment, and just like overwhelming.
Yeah, I think like same with me. I feel like it seems really far away, and
Mhm.
then when it gets there, it's like, oh, it's like a week away. Well, I should probably start. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll start tomorrow. And then the next day comes, and then it's like, oh, you end up cramming, and you're like, well, how did this happen? And it's like, oh wait, you just did this to yourself. You just played yourself, Lita.
I know for some people, they like to procrastinate because they work well under pressure. But at the same time, I feel like that stress isn't good for you. It's not good
Yeah,
for
I
your
feel like
body.
that's not a healthy stress, especially if it's like, I don't know, like in a project example, for example, you don't have like time to review it as like thoroughly if you're doing it all at the last minute, because you just don't have the time to do it.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it feels a lot better when you get something done early and out of
Yeah.
the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do people who like to work under pressure really like to work under pressure, or is it because they're stuck in that situation?
And then
Probably just saying that.
they
I
just say that
mean,
it drives them. I don't know.
like, I guess you still get it done if you're like working under pressure, but the quality just isn't there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, if you procrastinate before, you always know that feeling. It's like you feel more anxious, you have to get this
Mhm.
done. As you said, Kiara, the quality is not going to be as good. And it's honestly a stressful situation. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't purposely try to put myself in that situation because it's like, I don't know, maybe it's an assignment and you're trying to submit it at like 11:59. Like you're there, like that possibility of like, I don't know, missing the deadline. That is stressful. That is not a
Yeah.
fun feeling.
Mhm. Especially when there's like a computer malfunction last minute, and it's like you've only got 2 minutes to submit it. Is it really gonna go through?
It's
It's
like 11:57.
yeah, I can't handle that. That's the reason my hair is gonna fall out. Like I would pull it right. I get so stressed over those kinds of moments. Computer malfunctions are just way too common.
I think even though I like to avoid that stress and I like to do things, honestly, I finish assignments like a week before they're due because I get very stressed if it's not like done when it's supposed to
Mhm.
be. But I still procrastinate because I do, like, if I have a big assignment, I do small things first because I'm like, I'll just do that later. So I still get things done, but I'm still procrastinating. So it's still like in my head no matter what.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. And when you run into that, or like when you realize your procrastination, like you're procrastinating, sorry, do you have any strategies that you use to kind of avoid that? Or maybe you're already in that situation, but you're realizing it. Like, do you do something to help you out with that stress?
I mean, I feel like a lot of the time it comes down to discipline. Like I'm a to-do list kind of person. I like get some sort of rush from crossing things off.
Me
So,
too.
um, I think just like it's the not wanting to stress last minute that keeps me from procrastinating, but also that I like to look at the work that I've done and know that I've done good, you
Mhm.
know? So I guess just disciplining myself, making sure to set a to-do list and stick to it. Because planning is easy, but sticking to a plan is even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Ooh.
Yeah. I have a
What about you,
very
Kiara?
particular process when it comes to like avoiding procrastination. Like the first thing I always do is like switch my locations, because I find personally, I don't know if this is for everyone, but studying in my room just stresses me out over time, because I don't know, I'm breathing the same air, and I'm looking at the same things, and then I just want to do something else, and eventually I grab my phone. So like I like to go to a completely different room, just like a little fresh start there. And then I always put my phone on the other side of the room, because there's no way that I'm going to get up and grab it, because I'm just that lazy. So that it won't distract me if I have it like an extra, I don't know, a few meters away. I won't, like, I'll hear if a text message happens and I really have to answer it, but not enough to like start scrolling on TikTok.
Sometimes I pick up my phone and I realize that I'm scrolling on Instagram. I'm like, wait a second, how did I get here?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
what I
don't even
mean.
think about it. You just end up picking it up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
Yeah,
just
sometimes
talk across the room.
I do that too.
I sometimes put it like in a drawer and like tape my drawer. I'm like, I'm not allowed. And then if I hear like, yeah, I'm trying to open it and I hear the tape, I'm like, no, I can't. Like sometimes it's that extreme. There are days when it's extreme, I will actually use that method.
I have to put like time restrictions on my apps, like you know how some parents do for their kids,
Yeah.
like for YouTube or something. The thing is, I know the password, so I end up bypassing it. But at least when it pops up, I'm like, oh, I've spent an hour on TikTok today already, so I should probably get to work. It's
Yeah.
also
Makes you
a new
rethink it.
feature. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a new feature on iOS 15. I don't know if you guys have iPhones, but
I
if our
don't.
listeners have iPhones, iOS 15 has this like focus thing. It feels like I'm like advocating for Apple right now. Um, it's like a do not disturb sort of feature where you can put different focus modes. So you can
Mhm.
set one to work and it turns on for a certain, like between certain times. So like for me, I have my work focus thing turned on from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And so I only have like my parents as like contacts that can get messages through to me, and Lina, because Lina and I talk a lot during the workday. So I want to make sure I respond to her.
Mhm.
And then emails and Slack is what we use for Locus. So there's that. So I don't have to like lock it in a drawer. But so I know it's like a meaningful notification if it does go off.
Okay, now I
Okay,
need to
yeah.
do that. I need to first of all update my phone,
Yeah,
and then
me
I
too.
have to set that.
It's actually really useful because it turns on automatically.
Okay. I feel like
Yeah.
I'd be better with that because I'll get on my phone for some pointless reason, then all of a sudden I'm like on a completely different app. So I feel like that would
Mhm.
work better for me personally. So I'm definitely gonna update my phone now.
I think you can like
Yeah.
set different home pages too. So like only the apps you use for work will show up on your phone, I think. I haven't done that part though, but I think that's a feature. Yeah.
I love that. I kind of
Mhm.
love that. I need to do that right now.
Me too.
I feel
I'm
like,
learning stuff today.
see, the thing is, I think like I also have like a lot of important messages I get through the day. So I'm like, I need to have the notifications on, but
Mhm.
usually I'll just like put it away. So I just don't look at it all the time if it's going off. But I think this method, it's at least like, okay, like if I do get a message, it's important. So if I need to check it, then I can check it. So that's really nice. That's a really nice tip. Thanks, Christina.
Mhm.
You're welcome. I think also with the nature of our jobs, with having to be in contact with people all the time, that's what makes it difficult to put social media away because we do use Instagram to contact people, right? So just finding a healthy balance between it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of procrastination, I'm definitely someone who like motivation is such an interesting topic for me. Like there are some days where I just don't feel motivated to study. I don't feel motivated to do work. Like I'm just like, I don't know, maybe it's also being burnt out at times, but I also like, when I'm in that, I guess, state, I try to like reward myself or like set up like, okay, Lena, if you do like just get started 5 minutes and then after more than 5 minutes, you
Mhm.
can reward yourself with like, I don't know, getting candy or like whatever it is, like watch like a short video, right? And the thing is, like, there's actually something called the 5 minute rule. If you just get started for 5 minutes, you actually end up doing like going for longer, if that makes sense. Cause like you just
Mhm.
essentially you just need to get started. And I feel like once you get started, you kind of get into that mode and you're more likely to be like, okay, like I'm focused, like I got this much done in 5 minutes. Well, what if I just focus for like another 30 minutes? Like what could I get done? Right. So honestly, getting started for me is like the most important part and like the hardest part.
Mhm.
Yeah, getting started is definitely the hardest part of it, but once you do get going, it doesn't take as much time as you think it does. You could write like something in half an hour, but if you weren't focused, it could take you 3 hours. So if you really focus and sit down, then you should be able to do it.
Exactly. I also think like when there's like daunting tasks, like if you see like a huge assignment, you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Where do I start? Right? Like like Christina was saying, just like reading it, brainstorming, and even just like breaking it up into like smaller, more doable tasks, like that will help so much. Cause like I know like sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't want to get this assignment started because it's like there's so much to do. But if you like break it down, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this on this day and then this in another day, like it actually ends up being so much easier than just like tackling it all at once and being like, I'm so confused. What do I do, you know?
Mm-hmm. I find with assignments, like it's definitely hard to get started, but even harder when you don't know what you're gonna do it specifically on. It's like, how do I put this? When you have like opinion essays or stuff like that, or you have to be really creative. Sometimes when you just don't have an idea, it can be really stressful. So I like to read assignments even before, like way before they're due, so that like thinking about it in the back of my mind while I'm doing other things, and like ideas can come to me whenever, so that I'm not like rushing to think of some like creative idea to like put together the assignment. I'm already thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. And at the same time, another thing like I've heard from like the writing centers, like if you have nothing to write down or whatever, just like write anything down because
Mhm.
if you don't have anything down, you can't edit it. Does that make sense? Like, say you're like
Yeah.
writing an assignment, if you have nothing, even if it's like bad, like say like your original idea, like you don't really love it, but it's like decent, it's always good to like start and
Mhm.
have something down so that like you can naturally change it. And if you like obviously you don't want to like restart everything all at once, but like you can't change thing that's like something that's not there, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So in terms of preventing procrastination, what are some strategies you can do like before you start studying or before you get started into that assignment or that work like time?
Well, like going back to what Kiara said about trying to leave her room, like going to any space that's not her room, I'd say like when you get to your space, whether that's like in your living room or your kitchen table or like a coffee shop, bring everything you need with you and just prep your space. And that includes not having your phone unless you need it. But I think some people call it nesting. Like you bring your laptop, like your textbook, notebook, a cup of water, maybe a snack if you need it, like a blanket, something like everything you need so you don't have to get up. Because if you get up and go and get it, you lose your focus. So prepping your space and nesting in, I think helps you zone in on your work. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do that as well because I definitely I would definitely be that person be like, "Oh, I need to get some water now." And then I gotta get up and like, grab my water and then, "Oh, wait, I need this." So like I think that's definitely a good strategy.
Mhm. I still am that person, so I'm gonna work on that.
I mean, it's I think it really depends on the person because sometimes like, going for a little walk to grab something is always a good thing, right? Like I mean, I can sit in the one spot for like the longest times for like hours. So sometimes going on walks to the kitchen is very beneficial for me. So yeah, but like I guess what Christina was saying, like it's good to have everything in front of you so that you're not constantly getting up. So it's not like every 5 minutes.
But that also means remember to take breaks, get
Yes.
up and stretch.
Yeah.
So you're not like me and you're like, oh, it's 5 p.m. I haven't stood up since noon. you know?
I like to set alarms for that, especially eating. I keep forgetting to eat. Ooh, not my
Ooh,
best quality, but I started setting alarms for that. Thank you, Lena, for the idea. And
that's
it's
good.
been working out pretty good. And that'll be like my mini little break, actually cooking food. It's pretty good.
Gets your mind
That's
off it too.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Brain
Yeah,
break.
honestly, setting alarms for like whatever you need in life is so helpful. Like, just because I think with the pandemic and everything being like all in one spot, like, even like I'm working from home as well, like, it's it's easy to forget everything because you're just like in one spot for the whole time. So, even just like Kiara reminding yourself to eat, reminding yourself to take breaks, like, that's super important. And you tend to forget it sometimes when you're really focused. The last thing I did want to mention before we move on to our next topic is like if you ever get distracted, there's this one strategy like I saw on the I find everything on the internet nowadays, but it's called brain dumping. So like I'm definitely someone who has like thoughts all the time, or like ideas all the time. I'll be like, oh, I need to do this like soon or something. So if you're ever like in maybe like a study session and or like a study period and you're really focused, but you had like a thought that you need to do, take like a sticky note or like I don't know, the notes app, whatever, wherever you want to write it, just like write everything that's on your mind to clear up like whatever you're thinking about, and then go back to your task so that like during your break you can go back and be like, okay, I need to take my dog on a walk later today, or whatever you're thinking about, right? So that like you don't have to break that period of focus. And that's helped me a lot because I just have so many thoughts in my brain all the time. So if you're someone like me, you can try out that strategy, and I think it's really helpful.
I've definitely done that before. I remember one time in the summer when we were prepping LOCUS stuff, Nilesh, who's our logistics coordinator, for those of you who don't know, he messaged me something, but then I didn't see it until late at night. And then I was like, I have to reply, but it's like, I feel like it's too late. Also, I'm doing something else. So I had like a sticky note and I wrote, reply to Nilesh in all caps, and I stuck it on my monitor. And then in the morning, I was like, ah, yes, that's what I have to do. So I didn't like disrupt my train of thought with what I was working on, but I also remembered to do the thing that I had to do. I think I still have that reply to Nilesh sticky note in a drawer somewhere.
I do
I
sticky
mean,
notes too.
Oh,
sticky
good.
notes save lives. I feel like even if it's digital sticky notes or like physical sticky notes, I just love them so much.
Yeah, my like I don't know if you can see my door covered with different notes and reminders, and it's bad. I mean, I guess I look at it every day while I walk out, but
We love that. We love
Yeah, I
that.
kind of love that
a
though.
little bit of a mess though.
I think this is also exam season for a lot of students, whether it be like midterms, that were like before reading week or after. I think by the time this is out, it's gonna be like a lot after, maybe November, but there's still midterms going on. So I'm sure we just talked about like cramming before, like having that experience. Why is cramming not effective? And like how can we, I guess, avoid cramming for our exams?
Planning ahead. I feel like we kind of talked about that. But planning ahead and sticking to the plan and not letting like stress drive you. Let motivation drive you, not stress.
Yeah. Cramming sucks. Just gonna put that out there. I tried to use it too many times first semester of my first year, and it did not work out. And you're just struggling so much to try to learn or review all this information at once. And because it's like, I don't know, going to late night and you're just trying to get it all done and none of it sticks, you're gonna forget it. It's not good. I don't recommend it. If anything you take from today from me, don't cram. It's too no good. Don't cram.
It just doesn't work.
It
It
never
doesn't.
works.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's like I've like watched a lot of videos on this. Like there's a threshold of like this point where you like your brain doesn't take in any of the information. Like if you're
Mhm.
cramming the night before, it's like 2 a.m., whatever. Like there's this point where your brain's just not gonna intake any of it. So you might as well like get a good night's sleep, because that's also very important before an
Mhm.
exam. Getting sleep to actually for your brain to actually function on the day of the exam. Like that's so important. So you definitely don't want to be leaving the studying to the last minute.
Yeah.
Something that one of my high school teachers told me that still sticks with me is she said when you're studying, like even if you study earlier in the day, before you go to bed, the night before a big exam or a test or something, just read over your notes quickly and then immediately go to sleep, because whatever you read last is going to stick in your brain while you're sleeping. She liked to joke that she left her notes beside her, so it would like what is it, osmosis?
Osmosis?
Like, I'm pretty sure that's with water. I don't know. I'm not a science major,
Mhm.
but she said she left it like beside her in her bed, so it would like, I don't think that works, but like go into her brain. But definitely have the last thing you do is just like read over your notes quickly, because that's gonna stick with you better. And have those notes prepared beforehand. Not like read the notes night before like cramming, but have them prepared beforehand and then read them and get a good night's sleep before a test.
Mhm.
It
Sleep is
works.
good.
It works actually. I've actually done that before.
Mhm.
Um
Osmosis?
not osmosis. I wish I could just go like this. put it in my like information into my brain.
It'd be
I don't
so
know.
much easier.
Have you guys seen the meme where the kid goes like he's just like on the like his textbook or whatever, and he's like trying to like. It's really, I need to send it to you guys. Oh my gosh.
Send that to me later.
I'm going to send the meme. If you're listening to this and you know the meme that I'm talking about, you're a real one. Like
Props
you
to
know what
you.
I'm thinking about. Props to you that you actually got my whatever my reference. But there's this kid, there's a video, this kid was like literally trying to do that. It's just really funny. Anyways, I had a point of what I was trying to say. But oh yes, like reviewing the night before and then going to sleep. Like I think it was for like either like a speech or like a test or something in like high school where I just like obviously like you have to rehearse your presentation, your speech, and like I was talking about it, and then I was also listening to it. Like I recorded myself and listened to it, but I listened to it while I was sleeping. So like it was like almost like a podcast of me, and then I don't know. I usually do pretty decent with like memorized presentation back in the day, even though I hated public speaking. Just to put it out there, introvert Lina here. But like it honestly works because like it's the last thing that you're thinking about, you know. Obviously you don't want to like I don't know, be thinking about all your notes and like studying in your brain while you sleep, but it does help. And that's all I wanted to say.
That's actually kind of smart. Like hearing yourself recite your presentation at night,
Yeah,
because
honestly.
like you soak it all up while you're sleeping.
Like I've seen that on TV. I don't know if you guys have seen Friends.
Yeah.
With Chandler?
did it one time.
Yeah.
And it was effective for him, but when you see it on TV, you don't believe it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. He was like
But
listening
if you
to
say
tapes.
it works, I'll try it.
Yeah. He was listening to tapes to like help him stop smoking or something, right?
Yeah. And it
Oh.
turned out to be like, you're a powerful woman. Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes into like the category if we talk about like studying of like hearing it in different ways. So like if you're just like reading it, instead of just reading it, why don't you try saying it out loud? Why don't you try listening into it? Why don't you try like having someone tell it to you or you telling it to someone? Like I think having different like a variety of methods to study like definitely helps me at least.
Mhm.
Because like I don't know, everyone's a different kind of learner for sure, but I guess like I'm a visual learner but also like auditory, so I use both of those methods and I like studying with other people, so that's why it helped me for sure.
Yeah, I'm more auditory. When I'm like reading stuff, I tend to read it backwards, if that makes sense. But hold on, let me see if I can find what I use. I have like a specific app that I actually use to like get it to read my Google Docs to me.
Oh, that's
Like
kind
with
of
all my
cool.
notes. Hold
Oh, I
on.
love this. I can't wait. We're learning so much. I'm gonna download all the stuff now.
You're gonna have to give me a solid like 2 minutes to find this because I've got
All
it.
good.
That's okay.
locked
When
up
you
somewhere.
find it, just shout it out.
Okay.
Actually, while we wait for Kiara to find her app, I have an app for you. A tip. I think I've mentioned this before. I don't know if I did, but there's this Google extension on on Google called Stay Focused, and essentially you can put like blocked websites or like you can set a timer. So like for example, like YouTube was a big one that I used to block. And then I would say, like, I'm only allowed to go on this website for 1 hour a day. So if I exceed it, it like won't let me go onto that website. And that includes like social medias and stuff. So like it's really helpful if you get distracted on your computer. And then there's also something called nuclear like mode where it's like you just press it and then right when you press it, it blocks you from there. So like say you're studying, you can just click nuclear mode, like study for like 2 hours and it'll block like starting from when you pressed it. So check it out. I think there's also an app similar to it called Focused or something. But yeah, I'll pass it over to you now, Kiara.
Found it. It's called Speechify. And
Oh.
it's a Chrome extension. And I saw it on YouTube as like an ad. And it advertised as being like good for people with like ADHD. And I really like it because you can like increase the speed of how fast they talk because I hate listening to people talk like really slow. I get distracted so easily. So I put it on like ×2 speed and you can't help but focus on it because it's going so fast. So that's my little recommendation there.
So we've got Stay Focused and Speechify. Is that what it's called?
Speechify. That's what
Okay.
it's called. It's a Chrome extension.
Cool.
Wow,
We've got
we love that.
recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Do you guys have any stories of when you were cramming an assignment late at night and it just wasn't good? Do you have any like bad experiences with that you'd
Too
like to
many.
share?
Too
I
many.
was gonna say the same thing, too many.
I
can
have
think
a
of
story.
Oh, go for it.
It was grade 12 English class. We had to do a video assignment on analyzing a music video, like with symbolism, imagery, relation to the lyrics, stuff like that. And for some reason, like, okay, video assignments, you know how long that's going to take because it takes a long time to edit a video. Yet I left it to the last minute and I started it at like 10 p.m. before it was due in class the first period the next morning. So I chose the video I was doing and then I had to figure out how to download a YouTube video. And then the normal editing software I used wouldn't work anymore. I had to like borrow my sister's iPad, find a new app I could use, and then I put it all together, recorded a voiceover at like 2 a.m. for the video. And then at the end, it wouldn't let me export it because I had a free trial on the
No.
app. And it took like hours to edit. So what I did is I screen recorded it, just playing it back. And then that's what I sent in at like 3 or 4 a.m. to my teacher. But what I didn't realize because I was tired was that it said like it had the time on the iPad, like in the screen recording. So it was like
what time?
3:37. It was like 3:37 a.m. as I was screen recording it, and I sent it in. And then I like came to class the next morning, like 4 hours later, like obviously looking very tired. And then my teacher's like, "Are you like you handed in your assignment, but like, are you good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I think she knew. I think she knew because it said 3 in the morning on it. And
Oh,
then never
wow.
again. I don't think I've crammed something like that again that late at night.
That's yikes.
Do you
I
guys
have a
have a
story too if you want to hear it.
Let's hear it.
Go for it.
I had 2 tests in a week and I decided to focus my studying on the subject I was doing worse than at the time. What I didn't compute is that test was only worth 2% and the other test was worth 20. So probably should have been studying for the other one. So I crammed the night up for the 20% test and I just didn't sleep. I'm like, there's too much information. I took like 15-minute nap intervals every 2 hours and I basically slept through the entire test.
No.
Do not recommend. I don't know why my teacher didn't wake me up. Kind of rude. But
You actually fell asleep like
I
at
fell
the desk?
asleep. Yeah.
Oh no. What
High school
happened?
Kiara just didn't sleep typically. And then when it just adds up, you get 2 hours of sleep every night. And then you have this night where you got like 30 minutes of sleep. Eventually just give out. Don't recommend it.
Your teacher just saw you there and was like, what is
He
going
just
on? Didn't
left
say anything?
me. He just left me there. I don't know why. Probably should have woke me up. That's okay.
Dang.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I also
Yeah,
have
don't
a
recommend.
story. I also have a story. This was like I think in 7th grade. I was a procrastinator since birth apparently. But it was for a project about like what's it called? I'm not very good at math. Is it like translations or something? Like the way you move shapes
No
and stuff.
idea.
Okay. Well, it was
I
like
wouldn't
an
know.
art. It was like art and math together, which is like I like art, but I do not like math. So it
Mhm.
was like you had to like cut up a bunch of shapes, and I chose seahorses. What the heck, Lena? Like out of all like it was supposed to be unique and like pretty and whatever, and like I don't know, I could have chosen something easier, but like I don't know, I had to like cut all the curls and like the circle. I don't know, it was weird. But whatever, I just apparently class time wasn't enough and I had to bring this home to finish the next day. And I was okay at the time, like 12:01, like that was really late for me because I usually got up really early to take the bus. And so I literally was up all night cutting these shapes, like trying, and it was like bad quality. Like the next day, like when I like finished like submitting it, like I swear it did not line up, which was the whole part of like the whole point of the project was like to demonstrate this whole thing. It was supposed to like line up and like supposed to be nice and pretty, and it was like, oh, it was not good. But I stayed up late. I missed my bus, so my parents were not happy driving me to school. Um, but yeah, I missed my bus and then I handed it in. It wasn't terrible, but obviously again, it wasn't the best quality work I did, and like I wasn't very proud of it either. I wasn't proud submitting it. So that was, I guess, my story. And I'm sure there's a lot of other times where I procrastinated and like did not go well. So again, like everyone was saying, would not recommend.
That panic and stress is like no other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Get the stress sweats going. Not
Stress
good.
sweats.
Honestly, like I've crammed like a bunch of exams and like I'm worried about waking up. Like I've had 8:30 exams and like I was just like cramming the night before. I was like, I don't think I'll wake up. Like I was literally like texting my friend. I'm like, please just call me if I don't text you by 8 o'clock. Please call me or else I will miss the exam. And like that's my biggest fear. I think I had a nightmare that I missed my exam
Those ones are
before.
scary.
Those are
I get those
scary.
too. They freak
Yeah.
me out.
So we don't ever want to get to that state.
No, we don't.
Sometimes I have those dreams where I like get up, get dressed, I'm on my way to a test or on my way to class or whatever, and then I wake up and I'm like, and then I look and I'm late. I'm like, oh, I have to do it all over again. But I didn't actually do it, and then I have to do it faster. Yeah.
Wow, that reminds me. This is so random, but this reminds me of like I don't know if you both have watched like Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's like when Aang's really stressed and he's like literally going delirious and crazy. And sorry if this is spoilers, you can just like skip this part for anyone listening. But essentially he's like he has to go fight the Fire Lord, and he's like, where are you? The Fire Lord goes, where are your pants? And then he's like, I don't have pants on. And then he looks down and then he's like, what? And then it's a nightmare. But it's essentially it's because he wasn't sleeping at all and he was like freaking out about like his fight. So like I don't know how that relates, but essentially it was like he didn't get enough sleep and he wasn't prepared for his fight. So kind of relates.
I'd say it does.
Yeah.
Stress just literally does not do you any good.
Yeah, whatever you're preparing for, even if it's a fight, professional
Yeah.
one, not a street one. Don't do those.
Even if you're the avatar.
Don't procrastinate it.
Don't procrastinate. Last but not least, I think this is like a good place to wrap up. If you ever need help, you can ask for it. Like, I think it's like, I don't know, I always like, oh, I can just do it myself. Like, I can just, I'm fine, like independent, whatever. Like, it's obviously good to be independent, but it's okay to also like talk to someone and be like, yo, I'm actually struggling. And then you realize your friend too is also like, yeah, bro, like this assignment's killing me too. I'm like, oh, well, we're both in the same boat here. Maybe we can help each other out and like complain to each other or something. And even or you can get like actual help from your professors and learning consultants. We'll actually link some good resources in our description box and also our podcast description box if you need anything. But yeah, don't be afraid to talk to other people and always ask for help.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Go to office hours though. If you have like an actual question that only your professor, well, at least you think only your professor can answer, they would love for you to show up at office hours. Just a heads up, you should go to them.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I don't think I went to office hours until like second year, I'll be honest. And it's so helpful. It is so incredibly helpful. Like it's actually crazy. It's almost like they're supposed to help you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I did want to just quickly touch on something. Have any of you heard of the duck analogy before?
I have not.
I have.
Oh,
So
Kiara, do you wanna explain it or do you want me to explain it?
You can explain it. I feel like my definition will be all over the place.
It's okay. I'm not very good at explaining things actually, but I did want to talk about this. But essentially, you all know ducks, right? They swim in ponds, in their little groups. They're pretty good swimmers, right? You would say they're pretty good swimmers. So you usually see them, they're chilling, and they're just gliding on the water, and you're like, wow, they're such graceful animals, right? That's how I think of ducks.
I think they're so cute.
They are
Yeah.
adorable, absolutely adorable. And the thing is, they're very graceful, swimmers, but what we don't see when we look at these ducks when they're swimming is that their feet, their little padded, webbed feet, are furiously like paddling under the water, right? And this analogy kind of relates to how, when you like are seeing like what your friends are up to, or like when you, I don't know, I guess even if you're comparing yourself, like you don't see all the hard work people put in. Like you just don't half of someone's story unless they tell it to you, right? So it's really important to remember, like you probably don't see like half of the hard work or the struggle that someone went through. So also remember to be nice to yourself and obviously be nice to other people. Obviously school can be tough at times, so like I guess trying to normalize, that everyone struggles. Maybe you're dealing with a procrastination as well, or you didn't do so well on like a test or whatever. Like everyone kind of has their own struggle, and you can't see under the water where the duck is paddling. So just remember to be nice to yourself and to be nice to others, and there's always room to learn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never heard that analogy, but I love it.
I literally heard it for the first time like this year, and I thought it was so cute and so true, because I used to like look at other people and be like, okay, well, they get to have fun on weekends, weekdays, they're doing all their stuff. But then like when I'm working, I feel like I don't have as many breaks. And then in reality, they're studying at times that maybe I'm not studying, and I just completely miss it because I'm not with them at those times. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be nice to yourself and be nice to others. I think that's a good takeaway from this.
Mhm.
Don't be a duck. It's okay to share your struggles and, I guess explain how you got there. I feel like when I looked at all my upper year like mentors or just like friends that I had, I was like, how are they in 3 clubs? How are they working a job and they're getting good grades? I like never
Mhm.
understood that, right? But then like I guess now like I'm realizing like they obviously work so hard. They learn time management, they planned out their time, and it takes time to do that. But if you're seeing someone, like don't compare yourself to them, because you're going through a tough, maybe you're going through a tough time, but I know you'll be able to make it through, and everyone's very different. So don't be a duck, and we'll leave it at that, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for
Sure.
joining us today, Kiara.
This was actually so much fun. I mean, I knew it was going to be fun, but like this was so much fun. I really had a good time. Thanks for having me.
Of
Yeah,
course.
well, essentially, do you have any last minute like words or anything, like if you wanted to summarize this whole like podcast up, like what's your last thing you want to say to our listeners or our viewers?
Ooh, okay. Lots of pressure. Um, I guess get help when you need it. That's always important. Talk to your dons or OCAs. That's also really great. I talked to my OCA a lot in my first year, and I found her very helpful. So 10 out of 10, recommend talking to your OCAs. Lina was my OCA, by the way.
I love that.
Fun transition. She was so helpful and just always checked up on me, and it was so nice to have that support. And I'm here to support students too as an OCA. If you're in Community 20, you can always message me. And yeah, reach out when you need it.
That was amazing. Thanks, Kiara, for all your wisdom, and we were so happy to have you here today. And I think that's everything from us today. We wish everyone the best of luck on your exams if you still have any. And until next time, stay golden. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.